Hello, this is Justin and John here for Developer Day number 7. This time we're going to revisit our data pipeline and talk a little bit about how we changed it this week.
Yeah. So I think it was, 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago we talked about our data pipeline. We kind of had some main requirements. The first one was that it was scalable. We were looking at throwing millions upon millions of things, patches and things in there per hour. The second was we wanted to throttle it such that we don't take down our existing infrastructure. So we put some queues in certain places to kind of throttle things and slow it down. And the third big thing was we didn't want to lose any data. If data came in, we wanted to make sure and keep that such that if something failed in the middle of the process, we could still recover and we could move on without losing anything.
Or if our database died, we could repopulate. Yeah. So our previous pipeline, as you'll see here on the screen, actually met all of those requirements, and we thought it was beautiful. Despite being, maybe kind of a lot of moving pieces, it worked out really nicely. So we spent about a week getting it up and going, and then started testing it, and it worked.
2 million requests per hour going through there.
We got up to being able to process 2 million pieces of data an hour. But we noticed a couple of things. One, as the guy, running the import on 8.5 million geonames places, 2 million an hour was not enough. But another notable problem was that we were storing all of that data in a database, and somehow 1 gigabyte of data was turned into 10 gigabytes in our database, and we had a 10 cluster with 10 gigs of RAM, and it was eating that up really fast. And by the time we were done processing 8.5 million records, our cluster was kind of limping along slowly. And we had some other problems where, like right here in the middle, this processing script really did all the heavy lifting, and that was the only piece of code I've written the whole time I'm here that I wasn't proud of. And it actually there's a couple of dependencies here that are missing on this graph, such as S3 and some other things. So it was just a really ugly piece of code. And we took a step back the other day and asked ourselves, is this really the right way to do it?
Yeah. So the answer to that was no, it wasn't. we found some optimizations and some better things we could do. So here's what we did. The first thing you'll notice is right here is last week we had our API up. And we're like, okay, we should abide by exactly the same rules that all of our end users and developers abide by, which means we're using our own APIs to do our import. So we're no longer writing directly to the queue. We took that out. We make a request to the API, and the API enqueues the request and stores it on an S3. You'll notice that there's no processing script. So what we did is we took that nasty piece of who knows what it is, and we kind of split up its functionality a little bit. We put a little bit into the API. We were able to take some and just drop it completely based on some simplifications we did, and we were able to put just a little bit into the build script and kind of move a little bit of the complexity around and overall make things simple or simpler. Again, essentially once you hit the build script, the process is the same. The only difference is the build script is pulling from data from S3 instead of our Couchbase information.
Yeah. So if you look at these diagrams, it's actually difficult to see a difference in complexity because really we're missing one less shape and maybe a couple of arrows. But in terms of the code, it's a big difference. And the other nice thing is it was only about a day of work to refactor and get this new process working, which is a beautiful refactor. So we're pretty excited. We actually haven't done the heavy load testing on it to see how long it will take to process, but we're quite confident it's going to be a lot faster, and we're going to be able to move on very quickly to some other important things. So that's it for Developer Day number 7.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll have some other fun things for you next week.
Yep. Take care.